Hello everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to another episode in the series here. My name is Dominic and I'm the host of the Android Factory. In the last episode we went ahead and implemented the characters data source so we can receive an infinite list of characters from the wonderful Rick and Morty API. Taking a deeper look at the documentation here, we could see the payload that we receive when we fetch a particular page. We have a results array of characters, and then we have this little info object that gives us some high-level information about where we are in this paging process. So we need to go ahead and create a data class to encapsulate all this information. So I've gone ahead and created a data class here to encapsulate this. It was pretty small, so I created it myself, and we have an object here that is called info and then a list of results that follows the getCharacterById response format, so we can make use of this class again. Our nested data class here, info, holds the information that exists right here. It's important to note that we need to have next and previous handle nulls, and now let's make use of this page. So inside of our API client class here, I've gone ahead and created another function here, getCharactersPage, requires a page index, will return a simple response of type getCharactersPageResponse, the class we just created. And then you know the deal here. If you saw one of the other episodes, we call our safe API call, passing in the particular API call that we have defined inside of our service. And if we take a look at this function here, there's just a few things I want to note. So we still are making a GET request. We have updated our path to just be character here, but instead of making use of a path variable here, we've gone ahead and added a query param inside of this network request. It's quite easy to do so inside of Retrofit. We just need to annotate it with query. We call the value page, and then we pass in a page index. So as we can see here, there is character, there is page, and if we flip back to the documentation, we will see that after our base URL here, there is character, and then there is a question mark, page equals 2, and that is what our URL will look like when it's formatted by Retrofit because of the way we've defined things here. And very simply, we just have a response of type getCharactersPageResponse, so we are all good here. Now we can make use of this function inside of our API client, and we'll do so inside of our characters repository. So we can say our request equals the network layer, API client, getCharactersPageIndex with the page index, and then we can say if our request has failed or if the request is not successful, we were going to go ahead and return an empty list. Otherwise, we will return the request.body. Now we have a type mismatch here because we're telling the function to return a list of character by ID response, but we are returning instead the getCharactersPage response, and we'll have to update our implementation here in the data source. So very easily, we will just go ahead and invoke that. Okay, so simply inside of our error case, we will invoke the callback on result with an empty list and pass null in for our previous and next pages to basically terminate any more pages from being loaded. And then we have to handle our success case here. So the results is a list of what we're looking for, and we can keep our page key at 2 here because we know that we should be loading the second page. However, I want to make something reusable so that when we update this implementation here, we can make use of that as well. So if we take a look at inside of our page.info object.next is actually a nullable string. And if you remember how this string was formatted, it was the entire URL here for the next page. However, all we really care about is what comes after this question mark page equals 2. So I'm going to go ahead and just very easily copy this, and we're going to go ahead and create a little helper function to dissect that information. All right, and we've created this simple function here, get page index from next, because that's the key. We pass in next, which is a nullable string, and we are expecting a nullable int back. So we'll take the string, we will split it by this little question mark page equals, and then we will get what comes after it. If you remember the split functionality, we'll create basically an array from your string, splitting on this particular key here or this particular delimiter, and then get 1 means the second element in that array, which should be here the number right here, and then all of this other stuff will be in the first spot of our array. So now we can go ahead and make use of this function here by simply just calling getPageIndexFromNext with our page.info.next variable. Now we can very easily copy what we have here into our loadAfter function, and once we have that cleaned up here, we are all good to go. So we fetch our character page, we are using our params key to find the correct page index, we have our null case, our error handling here, and then otherwise our happy case, we do the exact same. Now you'll notice that there is basically the exact same thing going on here inside the load initial and the load after. And that has been improved in the newer version of this paging library. This is Android's paging library we're making use of. However, that library at the moment of this video is in alpha, and I do not believe it plays nicely at the moment with epoxy. So we are keeping true to the stable release version here, which is, I believe, 2.1. So just a little bit of extra information there in case you were thinking this looks a little redundant. But have no fear, it does work, and it is definitely worth knowing how to do it this way, because the new paging library just actually makes this a little bit simpler and condenses this all into one function, along with a few other niceties that you can have along the way. But with this, we've completed our data source implementation. Now we need a way to actually go ahead and propagate this to the view layer, and we're going to do so through a DataSourceFactory and the page list live data. So we've gone ahead here and created a DataSourceFactory for our characters. This is going to inherit from the data source, of course this one, not the SQL one, .factory, with our key, again being int, and get character by ID response. And then we're going to have to go ahead and override one function here, create. And this is where we need to create our data source. We can very easily just return an instance of our character's data source. However, this requires a coroutine scope and a repository. So we will basically just copy these two dependencies here, paste them inside of this constructor, and then we will just be able to very easily add those two in here. And now our data source factory is complete. We have a way to generate our data source, and you will see why we need to do so inside of this factory as opposed to just generating a particular object. So over here, we've gone ahead and made our characters repository. So I think it makes sense to also follow the MVVM pattern and do the characters view model. So again, is going to be an Android view model. We'll very easily extend that. And so we need to create a few things in here to get everything up and running. First is going to be a page list config. So we can do so by creating a variable here of type page list.config. And we will go ahead and use the page list config builder to go ahead and create one. So here we can set a few pieces of information about our page list. And two important things to note here are the page size. So I'm going to go ahead and put 0 for now, and then, oh, looks like it doesn't like that, but we'll fix it. And then set the prefetch distance, which will just maybe be 10, and then we can call .build on it. Oh, interesting. So annotating at int range from equals 1 will go ahead and give us a little bit of this error here in place. Very nice. Anyway, the important thing is that we need to go ahead and define how big our page size will be inside of this config, and then from that we can generate our prefetch distance as well based on certain guidelines that Google recommends for their paging library. Flipping back over to the documentation here and finding ourselves on this little section about info and pagination, we go ahead and take a look here saying that we will receive up to 20 documents per page. So that means we can go ahead and update this to 20. And then the prefetch distance, I believe they say, should be 2 to 3x your page size. So let's go ahead and we'll leave it at 40 for now. We'll just go with the standard 2x here. But we're also just going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit by creating a constants file. And so very simply here, defining a few constants, page size and prefetch distance to just be a multiple of the page size by 2. We can go ahead and make use of this here. So in case we need to change anything, we don't have to update our code everywhere. So we use page size and then our prefetch distance there. So now we're good with our page list config. We are going to need an instance of our repository here, so we're going to go ahead and create that now. And this is where we can get into the DataSourceFactory and the live data of type page list using the live page list builder. I'm going to go ahead and create our DataSourceFactory. And in here we need our coroutine scope and the repository. We can very easily add our view model scope and then the repository instance that we have created above. And then we need our page list live data. And this is the outward facing live data that our view layer is going to interact with. So we'll define it as a val here. We will call it characters page list live data. It's going to be a live data of type page list of our get character by ID response. We can use the live page list builder here to go ahead and generate this. And inside here we have our DataSourceFactory, which we will pass in, and our page list config, which we have defined above as well. We'll just very easily call build on this at the end, and now we are all good to go. So now we have our view model set up here. We have our repository instance, our page list config, the DataSourceFactory, and everything right here all bundled under our live data of type page list of what we're expecting, the data type that we're expecting, and this is exactly why we needed to create the DataSourceFactory. Even though the DataSourceFactory is a pretty simple implementation here, where it just looks like it's creating an object right here, and that's about it. Well, we need to use this factory because that factory ends up playing into this whole creation process here that we just wouldn't be able to accomplish otherwise. Last thing on the factory is that we can call invalidate on this live data here, on this data source, excuse me, in the event we need to refresh basically our page list. And so the obvious example of that is implementing a pull to refresh functionality on the particular screen. We would then want to be able to call invalidate, and that has a few other operations in place that then interact with the DataSourceFactory to generate a new data source and all that kind of stuff. So we may get there in the future, we may not, but for now, know that we are all good here, and at this point we've basically summed up our view model layer, the repository layer, our DataSourceFactory, and our data source itself. So at this point we are ready to interact with this live data here and connect this to the UI. We will do so in the next episode, where we will get a list up and running, we will start to see paging in action, and then we will go ahead and continue the application from there as far as allowing the user to select an item in the list or something along those lines. So if you made it this far, I'd really appreciate a like on the video if you're enjoying the content. Please do subscribe if you notice you are not already, so you don't miss out on any of the final pieces to this puzzle that are going to come out soon. Looking forward to getting this paging implementation up and running, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.